Alright, hello everybody. The long-awaited Dojo Rematch and Archtamer guide is here. So if anyone's been following, I have been posting videos going through each Tem individually and providing guides just in case you guys want to make some teams of your own, but just in case you want a set team to use in these dojo rematches and such, I have created a couple options. This video is going to be covering the more aggressive, faster team, as some people enjoy those more, but I'd say both teams that I create are about equally as viable. So I just did the PvP guide if you're looking for a more general way to learn how to play the game. But this video is going to be running through every single Dojo Rematch and Archtamers, and I'll be trying to explain how to use the team as we go through. This is the team. So Wolfie is pretty fast. It's meant to. It's actually one of the slower times on the team, but it's with Plague it has priority, and then it's kind of just a generalist. Wolfie and Volerend have the two highest or best defensive typings in the entire game, so they're really good to bring in almost any matchup and still be viable. So Wolfie is for exhaust control and just high damage with Dust Vortex, but also is just really good in anything it can hit for 2x. Volerend is able to scale its speed with the aerobic traits and kind of chip opponents down with, once again, a superior defensive typing. Hazrat's really good for getting quick kills with priority lava wave and also scaling offensively with heat up. So if you bring it onto a good board, you can get a heat up and pretty much just wipe whatever's left. Oshiara, you can lead into anything that it can't hit it for 2x and just spam high damage options of Tsunami and Serbatios for good spread damage. Volgon enables a lot of synergies with superconductivity and is able to dish out the highest damage in the game. If you don't have a Volgon, I would recommend running through the mythical layers. There's one, the lake in Saponku will provide Volgon for you. And while you could run some other options here, it is the best slot for this team specifically. Aohi is very nice to be able to outspeed opponents that are low with quick Fiery Soul and then gain evasion on the same turn with Ignis Fatus. Lawali is just a good general Tem, having Botanist to increase its nature damage and having multiple high damage nature options. And then Mouflank just dishes out damage constantly. Some of these you do need egg moves for, just beware if you are making this team, and you will need to use a pro team in order to participate in the dojo rematches. You cannot use a showdown team. If you want to use the showdown team, here is the code. Otherwise, we're just going to jump into things. I've already created this team in a pro team. If you need to create a pro team, it's under the competitive tab and pro. And then you can click on any of your empty teams here, and it'll bring you to your boxes, and you can drag and place any of your Tems in here and equip the items. So let's jump in. This might take a little while. We're going to just go for the Disciple, because I don't need practice for these, probably. Alrighty, so Sophia specializes in water and wind types, so that means that Tems like Volgon are going to be the most valuable, but it's also likely going to be the most banned. Lawali is also great here. I can look to ban Mastion, as it's one of the only things that can hit Lawali, and there's no crystals or anything, so nothing can hit Volgon. I do have to be wary for a potential Bird Season Grandpa, but I think this is fine for now. So I'm actually going to pick Volerend first. So I don't actually. So the gym or the dojo leaders change their teams every single week. So there's not a consistent you can do this every single time. They have some variation, and so because of that, it can be a little hard to just have a one guide fits all sort of situation. Looks like Wolfie got knocked out. My other nature, but I think Lawali's able to put in a ton of work this game. I'm gonna knock out the Lawali. And we're going to pick up Mouflank, because Mouflank doesn't interact with the type chart outside of Mentals. There isn't a Geist, so I'm going to focus on beating that down. Hazrat can beat down the waters, and there's only one wind here being Grandpa, because I banned Lawali. And I'm just going to pick Oshiara because it's a good thing to eat a couple hits if I need to swap something out. Because it's able to resist water attacks and it's not weak to wind. But offensively, it is not going to be helping me very much here. So Lawali's not in any danger here. Looks like it's a mom's lunch grandpa. That's kind of annoying because it'll make it so that my Lawali does less damage than I'd hope. The Volerand is faster than a max speed Nesla, so I can actually stay in and use Virulent Gust and use Plague on the Nesla, and I want to say that slot will die no matter what comes in. I guess Calibus will survive, just because it resists. Or only takes neutral damage from both. Calibus is very tanky, but offensively it's not very strong. I'm not sure what the Grandpa does here. It might have Bird Season Wind Burst. It looks like it's Bully instead of Bird Season, so that's really good. It would do a lot more damage if it was Bird Season. So we're actually going to stay in and just try and kill the Calibus now with double wind moves. Because once the Calibus is gone, then Lawali can start targeting that slot with nature moves. Volerant does take a lot of damage, but the only thing we really needed it here for was to kill Calibus. Anything it does beyond that is just bonus. You do have to be aware that it will lose special defense every time you use a wind move. So try to only spam or only use that when you need to. We're going to use Toxic Plume to get some damage on Grandpa and Allergic Spread as well. Because this should kill Nesla and it'll also deal a lot of damage to Grandpa. It uses Turbo, but it doesn't need to. It's already decently fast, and I have priority with Plague. The bait really gives the Lawali a lot of staying power because it gives it just stamina efficiency. So I'm going to bring in Mouflank here. There isn't a Geist, but the thing is that it's okay if Mouflank dies, and most of the time it can actually take a hit. I just want to finish off the Grandpa, so I'm bringing it in to use Bestial Charge here, and then we're going to Resin Trap the Nagais. It looks like I got outsped and killed by the... but that's fine. There's still nothing on Sophia's team that can actually beat me here. It was just a matter of time of how many turns it takes for the game to end, which unfortunately is just slightly longer than I had initially hoped, which is only like 1 turn extra. You want to be careful if you're bringing Oshiara against Nagais, because if you use Tsunami and it survives, then it can actually get Water Custodian, just like that, where it'll gain a special attack boost. However, since I'm killing it this turn, it doesn't matter because it won't be able to utilize that. So now it's only Oshiara left, and I've got plenty of stuff in the back that can deal with it. I'm just going to use Blizzard and Resin Trap, and that should be game. Ooh, I almost one-shot it with Resin Trap. Could have used anything else other than Blizzard. Alrighty, so that's the first one down. Nice and easy, not even real close. I know some strategies for these they'll kind of like try and cheese the opponents, but there's no real reason to, for the most part. A lot of them you can beat with a typical team. And that way you only have to make one team and you can beat just about everyone. I know historically there has been another strategy with Shween and Tataru where you would use Rage and Guardian Shween to gain 4 attack on the Tataru turn 1. But that one kind of struggles against some of the dojos. So here's this instead. It also is, like I said, good in case you guys wanted to try PvP on your own. So Rawiri is more of a generalist. He doesn't really have a specific type combo. He kind of uses a lot. So immediately, Volgan and Oshiara are going to be the most valuable. So in this case, there's 3 things that resist water for Oshiara, and nothing that actually resists electric. So chances are the AI is going to ban Volgan. So I want to see if I can still free up the Oshiara slot. I'm going to ban the Volorend because, yeah, there goes the Volgan. So what I'm able to do is I can pick my own Volorend, and then I can pick Oshiara here. So this is a really good combo because Volorend gives synergy for Tsunami, which increases its damage slightly, and Oshiara gives synergy for Virulent Gust to make it do spread damage. So it's a very high damage combo here. Because the Aohi got banned, my only mental is gone, and I'm going to ban the Tataru. Because between these two, I can hit everything in the game for super effective except for the Pigapek here. Once again, since no mentals, Move Flank is always good just to deal some consistent damage to everything. Then I'm just going to pick Lawali and Hazrat, because the fires can't hit Hazrat. And Volfi just doesn't do great damage to anything here. It really thrives in situations where it can hit 2x. So it'll be great against the Kisiwa Dojo and the Sapanku one as well. Demoralize doesn't really matter. There's nothing on this team that's super speedy, and going to take advantage of that. So I'm just going to use V-Gust and Tsunami and hope that I pick up a couple kills here. Even if I don't, neither of these two Tems is very offensive and deals a lot of damage, so I'll still be fine. But it looks like Raze is going to go down here. That's a great start to this fight. He uses Bamboozle. That doesn't particularly matter. It just buys a little bit of time for itself. So we can use V-Gust again. And I'm just going to use Serbatio's Wrath here. I know that I'm in danger of Saku. Saku doesn't have a great turn 1, so I can still live 1 attack from it. And I'm just scaling out my special attack to hit something else even harder. I might die to this combo because that was a lot of damage and this is an offensive pig. But the damage has already been done. Oh, we do live anyways. So I'm just going to click V-Gust again, and I'm actually going to rest here. Try and save a little bit of stamina and health on the Oshiara so that I'm able to hit the Kapire this turn. So now we use a Hyperkinetic because that's our stronger wind move. And then we use Tsunami with Synergy does more damage. And since we're +2, I want to say the Kapire will die in 1 hit. But even if it doesn't, it's fine. It looks like this Calibus is Reactive Vial, so now it can't even resist the water attack. And the AI doesn't normally go for a kill there. It would have been much better if it had gone for Oshiara, but it did not. So Kapire's down, and Calibus is 1 hit from dead. It does go for Toxic Ink, and Oshiara goes down. That is A-okay, because I have 3 Tems in the back, and there's only a quarter of a Calibus left. Because of Mucus, Toxic moves actually deal less damage, even though there's Reactive Vial. We're still gonna click Windburst anyways. Didn't matter what moves we really clicked, though, in this case, because Calibus is down. And that's the second one. Easy win. Alrighty. I don't remember the. I think it's I'm trying to. So I honestly haven't done these rematches in a long time. It's probably been about a year and a half. You're able to make quite a few feathers from PvP and Pansons, and that's what I've been doing to get anything that I need. And because PvP doesn't require you to buy Tems, you don't actually have to have perfect Tems for PvP. So I don't find myself doing these for the weekly rewards very often. But when just starting out, these rewards are crucial, so I understand their importance, and that's why I want to have this guide out there for you guys. So this one's all nature or fire types. So there's a lot of things that can kill Oshiara, but Oshiara is still really nice if I'm able to get it. But I have a feeling Oshiara might get banned here. So I'm looking at the other options, and my Hazrat is really good, and one of the only things that can deal with Hazrat is Volfi. Volfi also beats Oshiara because of its trait, which lets it avoid spread damage. So banning Volfi allows me to pick either Oshiara or Hazrat, depending on which one they ban. They chose Hazrat, it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Voloren to start, because Voloren's great against all the natures, and then I'm going to pick Oshiara, because I was hoping they'd actually pick 2 fires, so they're not weak to my toxic type I just picked, and then Oshiara would kind of come in and destroy them. But even getting 1 here is a-okay. Kinu doesn't actually have a turn 1 nature option, so I'm not afraid of it dealing damage. There is a mental here with Kinu, but I'm not afraid, and we're just gonna not pick Volfi. I probably could have this time, but because Magmut is on the other team, I would have ended up taking a lot of damage had I brought it in that situation. We're going to start this one exactly like the last match. I'm not afraid of taking damage, and I just want to start dealing some. If anything swapped in, it would either die or take a large amount of damage, so I wasn't afraid of that. Raiken will die in 1 more hit, and we'll see how much Kinu does here. It looks like it's a very fast Kinu. Kinu should also die next turn, unless it puts my Voloren to sleep. The Raiken did do a lot of damage there, but it's not going to get another hit off. So I'm not afraid. Even getting resisted damage on the Kinu is enough that Voloren is able to finish it off. The Oshiara will go down here to the Resin Trap, I think. Nope, I live, because Kinu is not... It's a support Tem. It's not meant to be very fast. So Oshiara will get 1 more hit off, where it will be able to probably take down the Magmut. Bobo does have Takma Mask, and it probably has... It probably has Mucus as well, so even though it's 4 times weak to Toxic, it will probably live this hit. But I'll be able to kill it next turn. Magma did live, just because it's a very tanky Tem. But I'm not afraid, because I still have some options. Alright, so Oshiara does go down. And I think Voloren lives whatever Magma uses. Ooh, this will actually be close. No, I do live. So that's what we love to see. We'll bring in Voloren here. Alrighty. Toxic Plume will take out the Baboa, and then we can just deal some damage to Magma, finish it off. A lot of these matches, it's knowing type matchups. It's not necessarily bringing a whole bunch of one typing to be able to win, but more so using the types that you have on your team as effectively as possible. So it could have been smart to swap out the Oshiara on turn 2 in this situation, so that it wouldn't have died to the hit from Kinu. But it's... funny, I get to live. But it didn't really matter, because I had so many options in the back that I'm honestly just kind of speedrunning this and clicking buttons. But there was definitely room to play smarter. Alright. Volcrane has pretty low special defense, so it does go down to that wind burst there. And that is number 3 down. Alright. On to Takma. Alright, so this one specializes in crystals and toxics. So that means we might get some more use out of Volfi this time. And Oshiara is going to be a lot harder to get value out of. But Volorend is still just as good, because it's... Basically, the 3 types that Volorend is best against are waters, natures, and toxics. So if you were ever to just train up one Tem to bring into a Dojo Rematch or team, it would be Volorend, because it basically is able to be useful on half of the dojos. Okay, so the immediate threat to Volorend is Inky. We also don't have... I guess we only have one Earth type that can deal with it, so it's just better to take it out right now. Volorend does go down, which isn't very surprising. Getting rid of Inky also helps to make it so that Volgan is stronger. The only thing that can deal with Volgan is sort of Shuin and sort of Waspine. So Volgan does have Hypoxia, which is a wind type move. It won't always be the best option to click. Sometimes, like right now, clicking Thunderstrike on Volorend is going to be better. And also, there's no mentals again, so just clicking or bringing a move flank to deal some solid damage to everything is going to be the best option. So I'm going to take out Waspine, because it was one of the 2 Tems that was able to deal with Volgan, and it's also just very tanky and takes like multiple turns to get through. I'd say if you wanted to play it slower, you could take out Platamus, because Platamus is probably the next highest damage dealer on this team. Yareni more or less plays like a slow stall sort of game, where her team is very tanky and just tries to whittle you down with toxic ticks. So, but this team is very aggressive, and so it's able to punish her very well. And now, I'm not confident that the Thunderstrike is going to kill the Volorend, and there's also a chance it might swap for something else. So I'm going to use Thunderstrike, and we're going to use Bestial Charge as the secondary move. Because Bestial Charge would cover just in case it doesn't kill, or if there was a swap. It looks like this is a bulkier Volorend, so it did survive, and Hazrat does get some big damage off. Which is kind of unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do in that situation. So Volorend is slower than me, and it's really not an offensive threat. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use Hypoxia, and because the Hazrat's faster than me, I'm going to use Goring for the priority. Just to make sure that it goes down. I probably could have just killed it with Hypoxia, but I wanted to make sure that it died. Because now my move flank is faster than Volorend, so I can use Bestial Charge again and kill it while dealing damage to the other slot. Alright, so the Shuin did come in, which isn't great. I'm able to use... Actually, I'm going to just use Ampere Outburst, which is higher damage, and then we're going to use Held Anger on the Shuin. Because this will finish off the Volorend, deal a lot of damage to Shuin, and then Held Anger might just kill it. It looks like it's a slower, bulkier Shuin, so it might survive. It does barely live. But it goes for move flank, so Volgan lives to see another day. At this point, you could bring in Auhi to get the Ignis Fatuus passive up. I'm bringing in Lawali because it doesn't have a good turn 1 wind move. So what I want to do is use it to finish off the Shween here, and then it'll have Hypoxia available next turn. I know it's a nature type, so it does take 2 times damage from toxic types, but it's fairly bulky, so it won't die, and it's also holding the item Bait, which will push off toxic ticks, making it so that it will take less damage. Like, as you can see, I take very little damage from that Cycrox there. I do get a defense drop, but that's fine, because it's fairly low health, and I am now able to threaten it this turn. I'm going to bring in Volphy, just because Platamus is a water type, and so it can deal damage to... Auhi. Even though it actually doesn't have a turn 1 water attack, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I believe this will kill Cycrox, but it might not. It doesn't, because Cycrox is very bulky on this team. But either way, these Tems don't have enough damage to finish me off. Like I said, they are very tanky and don't deal a lot of damage. So as long as you're able to dish out a lot, like more damage than they can, you're going to be safe. So I'm going to use Sandstorm just to finish off the Cycrox and do a little bit of damage to Platamus. And then we're going to use Plague. Yeah, it doesn't quite do it, so I'm hoping the Sandstorm kills both of them here. If it doesn't, then we just wait another turn and we Plague again. Yep, both go down here. And that is the third dojo, or fourth dojo, it's the third island. Either way, it's another one down. Alrighty. I think, oops, went to the wrong place. Alright, so next guy specializes in earth types and neutral types. So he's a little harder to deal with. Where's the dojo actually? I forget. Yeah. So there's the only mantle on this team is Auhi, which is also weak to earth types. So you have to be a little bit careful. It also doesn't have any turn 1 mental moves. So you have to try and find time to get the holds off. It looks like there's way more earth types than there is normal types on the team today, though. So once again, this is a great opportunity for Oshiara, but also Lawali and Volphy. So because we have multiple nature options, what I'm actually going to do... I'm going to ban the Grumper to see if we can maybe bring Oshiara. Yeah. So I'm going to bring Volphy first, try and bait in the Size Munch, and then we're able to bring in Oshiara. So I do have Auhi around, even though there's 3 neutrals, but I don't exactly want to deal with Yowler. Yowler's quite tanky, and its comebacker makes it so that it'll deal you a lot of damage to me. I do have 3 Earth Weeks as the last Tems on my team, so I'm going to go Auhi, and then I'm actually going to go Hazoret, because even if Hazoret dies, like I would probably just be sending it in to die if I need to use it at all. And it gets value from Toxic Farewell, which gives both opponents a toxic tick of damage. So it does not very much, but we take what we can get. So I'm going to use Plague on the Size Munch and then Tsunami, because I want to try and avoid a potential hit from like an uppercut onto my Volphy. This is fine too, because Volphy doesn't take any damage this turn. Mooflank is now trapped, and I should be able to kill it next turn with Servatio's Wrath. Yeah, maybe I won't be able to quite kill it, but it'll be low. I'm not sure why the AI used Soil Steam here. That does 0 damage to me. Because I'm not confident that Serbatios is going to kill, I will use Sandstorm to just clean up either one of them that would survive. The AI doesn't even know what to do in this situation because no matter what happens, something is going to... Okay, never mind. It's a kaleidoscope to help the move flank survive. That's actually a pretty good play by the AI. Helps the move flank survive this turn to deal damage. It will die next turn. Okay, so this one, it's not quite as easy to just click buttons. The move flank would be able to use Goring on my Oshiara and kill me, and I'm also very low stamina, so I'd like to swap out for now. I can bring it back in later, and it'll be really good against Zyzer, Kaurin, and Sizemunch. So what I want to do right now is just Plague the Gario, and I'm going to swap out, and I'm going to bring in my move flank. Move flank, I've said before, is very good at taking hits. So it's just a good Tem to bring in if you need something to take damage. Yeah, so the Sizemunch comes back in. I would say Wolfie has done its job. And what I want to do right now is just try and kill the Sizemunch. So I'm going to OX, use Plague, and I'm going to use Bestial Charge. Bestial Charge will kill the opposing move flank and deal some good damage to Sizemunch. It actually only has Helicopter Kick, so it's not even hitting the Wolfie this turn. It does barely survive, but that's okay. The last two Tems are both pure Earth and have no way to hit Wolfie or Oshiara. So as long as I kill Sizemunch here, the game's already won. So we're going to use Goring for the priority speed in order to take down the Sizemunch. And there it goes. I do lose move flank, but that's fine because I actually wanted to bring Oshiara back in just to finish out this game a little faster. Alrighty, so we're going to use Plague on the Zyzer just because it has a little more health, and we'll use Tsunami, and hopefully the Zyzer goes down. If it doesn't, that's still fine. There's no way that he's able to win at this point. The Kaurin barely survives. It will get a little scavenger heal, but it's not actually able to do any damage to anything here. Oshiara could eat another one of those and be fine. And we'll just Plague to finish off the game. That's GG. Number 5 down. Alrighty, now Sapanku. So this one is digitals and electrics. So it could definitely vary depending on if there's more electrics, then Wolfie is more important, and if there's more digitals, then Oshiara is more important. If there's too many electrics, you will probably want to rely on move flank because Wolfie's probably going to get banned because there's no crystals on the team. So I'm kind of hoping there's a lot of electrics here. Nice, perfect. There's 5 of them. So this is kind of like a more difficult matchup. So what I actually see here is that Oshiara and Hazrat would be a great combo here. The biggest thing preventing that would be Grumper. So I'm expecting Wolfie to get banned, and if not Wolfie, then probably Volgan. And Grumper is kind of annoying for both of them, so we're just going to take it out. Or it's more annoying for Volgan. Wolfie actually beats it. So I'm going to bring in Oshiara first. Maybe it seems a little risky. But because I have Hazrat, I know I'm able to kill either one of these. It's just kind of my choice. I'm going to kill Inky first. Looks like Volgan is taken out now, which is fine. Now the biggest thing I need to ban is definitely this Scaravolt. Scaravolt is really bulky, and because my Earth type is gone, it could be a little bit problematic. So then I'm going to pick up Lawali. Lawali's really good against Nestla and pretty good against Zalbian as well. You do have to watch out for Wastewater. Because there's too many electrics, I'm not going to go with Volorend, but I'm going to pick the other two instead. Neither are specifically great in this matchup, but it's okay. Auhi is really good for finishing off whichever one of these doesn't die. Alright, so I'm actually going to go for... No, we'll go Tsunami, because I'm not confident that the AI spreads are able to... Yeah, so normally if this was like a competitive Inky, that would die. So we're probably going to lose Oshiara here, which is a little unfortunate. But that's fine, I was expecting to. If you wanted to play safer, you could have swapped it out. But the only thing it's really good against here is Lawattle. Yeah, it just barely hangs on. Alright, so this is where Auhi shines. There's a Tem at low health. So either this Inky has to swap, which it might, or I'm actually going to get protected from taking damage by Ignis. It looks like the Amphitheater is the one that swaps, and Nestla comes in. I kind of wish I clicked Wastewater. Oh, they both swap. Interesting. So this looks like the first harder dojo we're getting to. Zalbian could have Turbine. Hazrat can live, but it doesn't live very well. So you don't want it to take 2 hits on that turn. I want to keep Auhi alive, because it's going to be really good against Inky and Amphitheater. And if something else gets low, it might be able to just carry the game in the end on its own, because it's really well known for doing that. I'm going to swap in Mooflank now, because it's one of the better Tems. Oh... Yeah, I'm going to swap in Mooflank now, because it's one of the better Tems against like all of this, and it's not good against Lawattle. So it's just one of the only good remaining boards it's going to have. And then we're going to click Wastewater on the Nestla, because I can hit it for 2x damage. If the AI swaps for Lawattle, it's cheating. Okay, so the AI does cheat sometimes. It's made to do that so that you don't have easy matches constantly. It can get a little frustrating because of that. Alright, but we had to do that anyways, because Auhi would have died had we not done anything. I'm actually going to swap Hazrat out, because it's still really good against Inky, Amphitheater, and Nestla, but it's not super great against this board. And I'm going to leave Mooflank in to die. Kind of sounds sad, but somebody's got to take the hit. And we're going to swap in the Lawali now. Because Lawali's not super afraid of anything these guys are going to do. And I think there's a decent chance that Turbine would be used onto the Hazrat slot. And Lawali can resist that. There we go. So now we're able to resist that hit, and we won't take a whole lot of damage. Mooflank does go down. It isn't an offensive invested Lawattle, which is not common for a normal Lawattle. So I'm going to use Fiery Soul to finish off the Zalbian, and we're going to use Resin Trap to deal a lot of damage to the Lawattle. That was a little close. But now the Lawattle will probably use Faraday Cage on us, and it's not going to do any damage. Yep, because we got the free evasion for killing something. So we see Nestle come in now. So Lowaddle's really low stamina. So I know that if I kill something here, I'll be able to survive and it will overexert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Phantom Whiplash and I'm going to use Plague on the Nestle. Because I just want to kill this thing before it's able to attack me. And then I'll get the evasion and the Lowaddle will overexert and it'll be easy to take down. Okay, it used auto-destruction. Silly AI things. That's not normal. But we're still doing alright. Aohi was able to avoid it, luckily, because we had gotten the kill on Nestle. So now I'm going to use Fiery Soul on the Amphitheater, and I'm going to use Plague on the Inky. So this will deal a lot of damage to the Amphitheater, and then by hitting the Inky, I'll kill it and still be protecting the Aohi. Because it doesn't matter what Tem dies. It can be your ally, it can be either opponent. You will always get the evasion. And so the Amphitheater is just kind of stalling out for time at this point. So I do have the item Adrenaline Shot, which will allow Aohi to attack a second time. So I'm going to use that to break the evasion and attack it. I am going to die from the Doom soon anyways, so I figure I might as well do something. Alrighty. So it does get a little health back from Relaxed. I'm just going to use Embers because I am kind of expecting this thing to use Bright Beam again, and I just want to save some stamina. Because Amphitheater would die anyways. So that one was quite a bit closer, with the AI kind of predicting my plays a little bit. It definitely would have been safer to save the Oshiara rather than die. But sometimes it's just learning spreads of what the opponent's using during the week. Because had I known that it was a bulky or inky, I probably would not have stayed in. I was expecting to kill it that turn. Alright. Well, we just got 2 left now. Alrighty, so Aohi is going to get banned here because it's my only mental. And because of that, I won't be able to hit the melees with 2x damage from anything. So there's a few different options here. There's 3 Tems that are weak to water, so we might be able to play around Oshiara. So, in order to do that, we'd have to ban either Broccolim or Golzi. And I think I'm going to choose banning Golzi, because we actually want to pick Hazrat first. Yep, there goes the Aohi. So we want to pick Hazrat first to scare off the Broccolim. Because it's very rare for the AI to pick a Tem that's weak into your lead. So now we're able to ban the Broccolim, and then the Oshiara is able to do a lot of damage to a lot of these 3 Tems. We just have to kill these guys first. As a backup, we are going to go with Lawali, and we're going to go with not Volfi, because Volfi's weak to melee. So now the goal is to, of course, try and get Oshiara to do as much as possible, but in the case that it can't, we want to take out the Tems that our back is weak to. So because we have a Mu flank in the back, what we want to do is we want to take out this Moala first. Because Moala is the only mental that can deal with move flank. We also want to take out Magmut if possible. So Moala has a very weak turn 1 option. So I'm going to use Wastewater first, because the Poison Tick is going to do a lot of damage. And then turn 2, we're going to use Lava Wave. And I'm hoping that it's going to kill before it's able to move. But Moala is usually pretty tanky. This one doesn't seem to be. It's a very high attack Moala. So it looks like the AI knows that Oshiara is the issue. So I'm actually going to use Lava Wave on the Shelllant and going to use Serbatios to hopefully kill both. Moala does learn a priority move that would allow it to outspeed my Oshiara, but I don't think he's going to be using it. So we should be able to knock out both Moala and Shelllant here. Yes. So that's 2 down, and I still have all 5 of my Tems. And I have a +2 Oshiara into a Munko and a... Magmut. So now there's kind of 2 options here. I could either use high pressure water to kill the Munko before it moves, on its off chance it swapped to Magmut. But I think I'm actually just going to stay in, and I'm going to use Tsunami instead. I will lose Oshiara here, but it'll do so much damage that it is just fine for it to happen. Yeah, Munko is already dead from that. And Venmet is half health. So Oshiara alone was practically able to kill 3.5 Tems on this team. I mean, yeah, Hazrat's there, but it's still a lot of value for Oshiara to get. That is a lot of damage. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Move Flank. And I know it's a little counterproductive because I'm ignoring the Magmut, which is what kills the Wally. But I'm going to try and kill this Venmet before it's able to get another attack off. Because it's got +1 attack from Aggressor, it's also got -1 defense. So it's a little more vulnerable to taking damage. So I believe that I can take it out. But I'm going to use 2 of my stronger attacks to do so, because it does have naturally high defense, even with the 1-stage defense drop. Yeah, I don't think I could have killed this thing with Bestial Charge, so I needed the base jump. It would have been very close. It looks like Hazrat's going to go down here, but that's fine. Because Magmut actually does take the Toxic Farewell damage that I always say that Hazrat's able to do. So that already takes Magmut down a decent chunk of health. So one option would actually be to bring in Lawali, to eat a fire hit, and just use Plague to exhaust Magmut. Magmut has very low special or very low stamina. So it's easy to pick on, like, and make it, because once it runs out of stamina, it just can't do anything. You can also make it take really big overexertion damage from that. Yeah, like if he used Meteor Swarm to hit the Lawali, he would have overexerted by a bunch and the game would already be over from that. But it doesn't really matter. We're just going to use Hyperkinetic Strike and Held Anger, and the Magmut will go down. Also, Lawali can easily take 1 Meteor Swarm from the Magmut. Magmut doesn't have the best offensive stats. Alrighty. So just 1 left for the dojos. And then we'll be on to the Archtamers. We'll see if we can get this in and done in under an hour, but chances are we won't. But yeah, so basically with the melee, Auhi will always be banned. So the goal is to try and pick on the other defensive type weaknesses. And just utilize Oshiara's raw power and speed. Okay, sorry. I walked into the wrong building. I always go into the auction house when I warp here. So going to the dojo is a little out of practice. Alright, so this is usually the hardest one for a lot of people, and it's also going to be a bit tough because we won't be able to use move flank. So this one's going to be fairly similar to the last one. We're going to have to play around the Tem's other defensive weaknesses. So we're kind of lucky this week. There's no Aohi, so that allows us to play around Lawali a lot better. Lawali has good special defense, and most mentals deal special damage. I think I want to utilize Oshiara again. So that means I'm going to ban Minotaur, but I do have to watch out for the Water Custodian Nagais. Volgon's definitely going to get banned, just because it's the only thing that can hit these things for 2x damage. So because I'm a little afraid of the Nagais, I'm going to pick Lawali first. Lawali's really good here. And it also gives Oshiara synergy with Tsunami again. So this is what we're going to use. And then now I can ban the Nagais, and I don't have to be afraid of Water Custodian. Alright, next up I'm going to pick... Well, I mean, for the last ones I pick everything other than move flank, just because move flank is weak here. Everything else is fine, though. Voloren, Volfi all have high special defense. So the only things we got to worry about are the physical attacking mentals, which we already banned Minotaur. So that kind of leaves Mawala here, and that's about it. Koish is also physical, I suppose. And Valiar is as well, but Valiar is just a support. It's a very annoying support, and it might cause me some trouble. But we just have to do as much as we can through it, and eventually chip it down with Oshiara's damage. Once again, oh, it looks like he'll be doing damage here. This isn't going to do very much. It does have the Fat Burner item, which makes it do less damage. Very good damage. Double telekinetic into the Oshiara. I'm able to live those fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use double spread damage just to kill these things very efficiently. Spread damage is really, it's super high value, because you're hitting both opponents at once. So instead of like uppercut, which hits one target for 80 base power damage, you're hitting two opponents for 80 base power damage with something like allergic spread. But it's harder to focus down a single target and get kills that way. But in a situation like this, where your opponent's not doing a whole lot of damage, because they've got a couple supports on the field, it's great to pick on them. Okay, so I think Oshiara has done its job. It's not going to do much to Koish. I would rather just get one last Tsunami off. And then we should be in good shape. I actually want to take out the Ventil, if I can. I'm not afraid of the Pocus. I want to get the Koish on the field so I can start using nature moves on it. So instead of using Hurricane here for the spread damage, I'm going to use Resin Trap to try and kill this Ventil. It might be a bit tough. It depends on how much damage it takes here. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to go down. The downside is Mentals have pretty high special defenses, so it's hard to kill them before they can move most of the time. I'm actually hoping Oshiara dies here so I can bring in something else. But the AI maybe knows that. I do get the bait proc, so I'll be able to use a couple more moves before overexerting, which is nice. Yeah, so the AI did avoid Oshiara, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. We can use Plague now without reservation, and I'm just going to rest on Oshiara. If they won't kill it, it'll get another Serbatios off next turn, and it'll do loads of damage. And if it eats Gamma Burst for Lawali, that is perfect as well. Alrighty. So I'm actually going to bring in the Volorend here. Either Volorend or Volfi are equally as good. I'm going to use Plague on the Pocus to try and make it overexert here because it seems like it's a little low on stamina. And I'm going to use Windburst to try and stack up my speed because Hyperkinetic Strike deals more damage the more speed you have. I believe Pocus will die from this overexertion. Oh, maybe not because of the Rejuvenate. Oh, it still had enough health anyways. Alright, I take a load of damage from that Koish. But I can bring in Volfi now. Because I take so much damage, I probably won't be able to use Hyperkinetic. I want to use Toxic Plume here to finish off the Pocus and get some chip damage on Koish. It looks like it is the Iridescence trait, which makes it so that it ignores type interaction. It'll always take 1.1 times damage from everything. I do push off the Toxic Tick, which is a bit silly of me. But I wasn't really using it for that. It will overexert from this Matter Teleport because of the exhaust. Because the AI doesn't usually have a lot of stamina, using the exhausts from Volfi and Lawali is super valuable in buying times to use your bigger options. And because he can't move, this game is over. Alright, so that's the run through of all of the Dojo rematches. It will vary a bit from week to week based on how the teams are set up every week by the Dojo Masters, but in general the game plan kind of remains the same. You got to focus on which Tems are going to be the carries for your team that week, and then try and get as much value out of them as possible. The Archtamers are in like the top right, I think. So this is where things get a little more challenging, because you got to win 4 matches in a row without failing, and I don't think there's practice for this. Alrighty. I don't particularly care which order I do them in. I think it's random anyways, because you got to go through all of them. So this is the team. Up against Stowaway first. So first thing I see is a lot of electric weeks, but there's also multiple crystals. So that means electrics aren't going to be the most viable. So the next thing I think is, okay, maybe I want to bring my natures, because there's multiple waters, and then things like Volfi. Like Volfi is going to be really good here, especially if I ban Tolkien. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ban Tolkien. Volfi does get banned, but I still have Lawali, and Lawali is able to be used now that the fire is gone. Okay. So it is double crystal, but I have Hazrat here as a fire that can deal with both of them. Zenareth can't do anything to Hazrat, and Inky, it can do a bit more, but I'm just gonna Plague and Lava Wave and hope that I can live the Thunder Strike. So it looks like a Mooflank ban. So that leaves Volorend available. So if I can kill Inky, and especially Zenareth, I should be home free. Now the only questions are Valash and Momo here. I don't actually want to have to... I think Momo's going to be the bigger issue. Momo is very tanky, and with Stabmaster, it's able to do a ton of damage. So it would be better to take it out. Valash will still be an issue though, so I'll have to watch out for it. I will be able to have 2 fires by having Auhi. So I'm going to try and actually bring it to try and scare off the potential Valash pick. Okay, but unfortunately we don't get it. So now the biggest obstacle to me winning is 1, however this first turn goes, and 2, that stupid Valash. So it's not a bad thing if I happen to kill Tukai and Platamus first, because that means that Auhi ends up having a really good game after those two are gone. Also, another thing is just like, knowing that Platamus doesn't have a turn 1 water move is very valuable to knowing that, like, if I have to have Auhi on the field against Platamus turn 1, I can, and I won't take too much damage. It looks like it was a very squishy inky. It dies very quickly, kind of a glass cannon, unlike the one from the Sapanku Dojo. So it will go down here. Looks like it's a physical Zenarith. It's not nearly as good as its special counterpart. We see the Tukai come in here. That's very strange. I'm not sure I approve of that decision, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to use Plague, and we're just going to use Wastewater. And I don't think Tukai ever lives that. It could outspeed if it's max speed. I don't know what the AI runs, but normally it doesn't run max speed, because then it's just a piece of paper. So Tukai goes down too. Crystal Bite, gonna take out my Lawali. That's okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring in Volorend. Volorend is able to threaten the Platamus, which we don't see. But that's fine. So I'm actually going to focus down the Valash and ignore the Zenarith, because Zenarith is running a little bit low on stamina. And once the Zenarith runs out of stamina, it's not a problem anymore. Volorend might die here, depending on if he gets hit twice, but I'm not afraid of that. Volorend just needed to buy a little bit of time so I can break through these crystals and just with Hazrat. Hazrat's the real MVP in this matchup, because it was able to hit all the waters and all the crystals. So it looks like Valash will live, but I can take the Crystal Tail here. So I'm not afraid. So Volgon can deal with Platamus. So right now the only thing I need to do is take down Zenarith. I'm going to use Hyperkinetic Strike on Valash, so I outspeed and make sure I get the kill on Valash. And if Platamus comes in, it won't want to eat that, because it'll be weak to it. I'm going to rest on Hazrat so I don't have to overexert. And then I'll probably bring in Auhi on the Volorend death and just use double fire move on the Zenarith. And because, once again, like I mentioned, Platamus doesn't have a turn 1 water move, so I'm not afraid of it dying. Platamus also can't do much of anything to my Hazrat, so I'm not afraid of it there either. But I do have the Volgon in the back that can deal with the Platamus very easily. The reason I wasn't focusing on killing the Zenarith is because it is very tanky. It can probably live both of these 2x hits. Yeah. It might die to the overexertion and the burn, which would be nice. It does. Alright. So funnily enough, the specific interaction where if a Tem dies to a status, Auhi actually gets evasion for the next turn, that just happened. So now I get a free avoid on the Aquatic Whirlwind. I'm able to get a little bit of chip damage on the Platamus. It looks like it's determined, so his special defense won't drop, but I'll be able to outspeed and finish it off with a Phantom Whiplash this turn. And I still had a full Volgon in the back, just in case I needed it. So GG Stowaway. I also wouldn't have had to overexert on the Hazrat if it was closer and I wanted to conserve its health. Alrighty. Nowlin. Alright, so Nowlin also likes to play Stole. So this looks like it could be another really good Volorend and Oshiara game. Very similar to the second dojo. The biggest problem is for both of them would be probably one of the natures. I think I'm gonna ban the Saku. Ah, the Voloran does get banned. That's okay. So that's a little unfortunate. I'm gonna bring Mouflank first and hope that the okay, the Acronox was picked. So the AI seems to know that I want to pick Voloran now, or Oshiara now. So I can't do that. This leaves me in a little bit of a rough spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Volfi. When in doubt, pick Volfi, basically. Because all I need to do is kill these guys, and then Oshiara is able to come in and do loads of damage, and probably finish out the game. Because I'm going to be playing with that in mind, I'm going to ban the Tuvine. Because Tuvine is something that could actually live Oshiara's hits and hit back. I'll pick the Oshiara first, maybe try and scare off the Kaurin pick, because I'm going to pick 2 fires here. Volgon doesn't do a whole lot here outside of maybe a Hypoxia onto the 2 Toxics on lead here, but because it's weak to Acronox, I really didn't want to pick it. Calibus has Nutrition Bar, so I think the way I win this game is just by ignoring the Calibus and waiting for it to run out of stamina. Calibus has very low stamina, but it looks like the AI is 1 step ahead of me. Alright, so I'm going to use Base Jump, and then I'm just going to swap for Hazrat. Hazrat can resist nature moves, and also the Calibus won't be able to do a lot to it. I also can't be poisoned, and I know I said I was going to ignore the Calibus, but honestly, it's going to be like the biggest problem in this game, so I just kind of want to take it out. AI is going for Mouflank really hard right now. It's a little surprising. Alright, so here we get to avoid the Toxic Ink, which is really good. So now I have Hildanger available, and I'm just going to use it on the Calibus. Moments is probably going to swap here, and Calibus can't do anything to Hazrat. So this is like the best turn to heat up. Alright, so Acronox comes in. Not surprising. The question is, what does the Calibus do? It does a lot of damage to Calibus, which is super nice. Yeah, so it actually uses the water move onto the Hazrat, which is a little surprising. But the Calibus is slowly running out of stamina. We're going to use Bestial Charge here, get some of that damage off, and then we're going to swap Volfi back in. Hazrat's going to be great against the Moments, maybe the Magmut. We're able to resist the Soil Steam here. And Mouflank gets some great damage off on both Tems. Do you see the Toxic Ink? I think I go down, but it's really close. I do unfortunately go down to that. So I don't want to quite bring in Oshiara yet, and this isn't a great board for Hazrat, so I'm going to bring in Auhi. This one's looking a little bit dicey, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Fiery Soul and I'm going to use Plague onto the Calibus to try and knock it out. Surprisingly, the Acronox swaps here. Not sure what the AI was doing. I think it was in a really good spot here. The goal was for me to kill the Calibus to get the move which, or the trait, my trait which allows me to avoid damage from I hit the soil steam that was coming my way. So that was the plan there. So 2-Wire is probably going to use a digital move on me, but I don't care. I just need to kill this Acronox, so I'm glad he brought it back in. I'm going to use Psywave, and I'm going to use Dust Vortex. And I'm just, like, it's okay if Aohi dies here, because once Acronox goes down, the game is over. The entire game was me trying to create space for Hazrat and Oshiara. And I was able to do that by killing Calibus and Acronox. Acronox is the main one. Because I didn't, my winds were banned, and I don't have a melee on this team. So Acronox does go down here. So now we're really well positioned to finish out the game. So we bring in Oshiara. We're going to use Tsunami. I'm actually going to use Plague on the 2-Wire. I'm afraid of swapping into Hazrat just because 2-Wire could use a wind move on me. And that would be really, really bad. And it is a bulkier 2-Wire, so it does survive. Looks like it's focusing the Oshiara. Oshiara might die to a Resin Trap here. It depends. Oh, no, there's a Digi threat from the Moments. So it may not be running Resin Trap. So I'm going to use High Pressure Water onto the 2-Wire now, and we're going to bring in Hazrat. Because Moments can never kill Hazrat. And now I have Synergy on High Pressure Water, which will always outspeed and... Okay, I lied. I have Isolated. So that was a complete blunder on my part. But luckily the 2-Wire was not fast enough to kill my Oshiara. And Moments is not strong enough to finish off my Oshiara. Even if it was able to, I did have Volfi alive to deal some good damage to Magmut. And like I had said earlier, that Hazrat getting the heat up off was really valuable for being able to 1v1 Magmut in an endgame situation. Just because I can hit it with some hard waste waters, and after a Dust Vortex from Volfi, it would have been in range. That it would have been hurting real bad. So I had a couple things prepared, but this one's probably the closest one yet. Magma wouldn't have had enough stamina to finish me off anyways. Just because Wrenching Massage being its main damage option was really disappointing. But yeah, that Wastewater would have done half its health, so just 2 of them and it would have gone down. So it was very close, but I did have a few options saved up at the end that I was ready just in case. So here's Nala now. Okay, lots of nature weaknesses. So Volfi and Luwale are the most valuable. So that means... Well, actually, it also means there's a lot of water weaknesses. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ban the Grumper. Because there's 2 melees. I can't... Oh, really? Okay. So it actually acknowledged that and banned the Oshiara instead. So Luwali's still very good here. It was either nature weakness, play around natures or waters. Both were good. So Turok does not have a turn 1 earth move. So I'm actually going to bring my Volgon here. So because I'm not in danger of dying turn 1. And this is a great combo to have. So the one of the only things that can deal with it is Gialis, but also Venks. Gialis, I have 2 fires in the back that I can deal with it. Venks is just very tanky and will always deal damage. So I, just for sake of wanting to get rid of tanky Tems, that's kind of what I'm doing. And in general, with this team, it sometimes is better to take out the things that are... I'm going to bring move flank just because there's no mentals. Sometimes it's better to take out the things that can take a hit or two, just because the team is typically very frail. And so even taking a 1x hit from something that you can't kill can be devastating. Alright, so I'm just going to click Plague and Thunderstrike here. The Turok does swap into Gialis. Not surprised. This will still deal a bunch of damage to Molgu, which is what I wanted. I might even be able to kill it with a Resin Trap next turn. That's close. And I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to, but I think I'm going to try. Because I do not want to have to take another one of those. So this is a pretty good Hazrat swap in. Because Hazrat isn't going to do a whole lot for the rest of this game. It could deal with Tukai. We'll see if the AI is very smart and swaps, or uses Gialis to hit the Lawali instead. But I imagine it's just going to use Crystal Bite on the Hazrat, because that's where the Volgan was. Yeah. So Hazrat actually takes quite a bit of damage from that, but not enough that it's immediately scared. We see Turok come back in. Because I'm a little afraid of a hook kick from Gialis, I'm going to use Plague instead of Allergic Spread. And I'm going to use Lava Wave here. Hazrat could die to a Feather Gatling, but it'll at least get this Lava Wave off first. And after this Lava Wave goes off, Aohi is going to be in the perfect spot to finish out this game. Oh, he actually goes for the Hazrat here on both. So Hazrat's definitely dead. And Gialis will actually be dead as well because of the death passive of Hazrat. How unfortunate for you. So, I mean, I'm not really sure which one's going to come in. I'm just going to bring in Aohi regardless. Could bring in Move Flank as well. Both of them totally work. I guess Move Flank would have made more sense because I could have Resin Trapped. So Allergic Spread, and then we're just going to Fiery Soul. Allergic Spread does big damage to Tukai. Oh, it didn't use a water move. Very interesting. I would have thought it would. So now the question is, does the Rolder have Reactive Vial? If it doesn't, I can kill it next, or in 2 turns. If it does, it does. Okay, unfortunate for me. Because I can Plague Tukai, and I can use Psy Wave to lower its special defense. If it didn't have Reactive Vial, I could just kill it with the very next... it's Phantom Whiplash, but I will have to wait one more turn in order to do that. I haven't used it at all, but Hypnosis... Oh. That was an accident. I was saying I could use Hypnosis in this situation, and then that would be really valuable, as Hypnosis would buy me the turn I needed for the Reactive Vial to wear off. It doesn't really matter that I just misclicked because I'm so far ahead, but it would have been an option if you need to buy time for something that could kill you. Hypnosis can give you the turns you need. And because of the special defense drop, Rolder does go down. So GG's Nala. There's only one left, and we'll have completed. Indira. Alrighty. Alright, so there's a big mental weakness here. 4 mental weaks. So it looks like This is actually a very interesting situation, because Aohi is really strong with the mental against 4 Tems, but at the same time, there's 3 waters. I'm kind of leaning towards banning Nagais. If I ban Nagais, that means move flank is valuable. Oh, actually there's so many options here. Because I could bring Volgon as well, and Volgon's really good into these bottom 3 and the 2 Kai. So I have so many options here, honestly, that I'm just going to ban the Yowler. Alright, so the Volgon is the play that it decided to make. So I'm going to bring Lawali. And then I'm going to bring Volerend. Oh, he gets banned now, but that's fine, because I'm banning your Venks. Because Venks is tanky. So now there's like some waters left. I can bring Move Flank just fine. I guess there's Nagais, but that's fine. I got double nature and a toxic. Let's go double toxic. Because Hazoret's pretty good against both Calibus and Oshiara, should I need them. And my Oshiara wouldn't have been real great against an opposing Oshiara or the Calibus Hazoret. Alright, so there's no tag team allies for Tutsu here. I'm not sure what the Tutsu is going to do turn 1. I think I'm going to bring in Hazoret on the first turn, because I don't want Lawali to take a fire hit or a toxic hit. Hazoret resists both of its own stabs, and then I can get a wind burst on the opposing Hazoret, which is what I want to do. Yep, this is just fine. I'm a little surprised that the Hazoret is faster than my Volerend, but that just means it'll die in 2 wind bursts, and I don't need to burn a hyperkinetic. I do see a Feather Gatling onto the Volerend. Big damage, but not quite enough to take me out. I don't want my Hazoret to stay in here, though. I'm actually going to swap right back to Lawali. And then I'm going to use Wind Burst. Because I know I'm faster now. Because I got the +1 speed from Aerobic. Even if Volerant dies here, it's already done a great job. I do take the 7%, and it's a little unfortunate that Lawali... Oh, no, Lawali doesn't even take the Toxic Tick because of my bait procs here. And ta-da! It's gone. So Volerant, I think, will, based on the 7% I took, will die to the next... Feather Gatling from the Tutsu, but I'm not quite sure. Well, I'm just going to use Allergic Spread for some damage on both, and then Hyperkinetic for damage on the move flank. I could use Toxic Plume, and I will next turn if I'm alive, but I don't think I will be. Seems like a very squishy move flank. I probably could have Plagued and killed it before I took any damage, but this is fine. Move flank goes down, and Tutsu takes some big damage too. We went for Zen Meditation. I'm a little surprised by that. That's not a great play there, because it's basically just about dead. Alright, so it is not Deceit Aura, so I can still use my priority moves. So I'm going to use Plague, and I'm going to use Toxic Plume. So the Toxic Plume will get damage on Tutsu, and the Plague will move before Nagais can, knocking it out. Haito on Lawali actually kills it after the Zen Med, so it wasn't a completely useless Zen Meditation. Tutsu did overexert, which means that it is very safe to bring Volfi in now to kill the Oshiara. Can outspeed with the Plague, and then use V-Gust, and hopefully the thing goes down. It will. Because of the sweatband on the Volerant, it can pretty much just dish out its moves constantly. It's very nice that way. And that's the game. So those stallier teams are a bit rough. I think they could be played a little bit better, but in general, it still worked out. I'd say one of the biggest things you have to know when you're playing a team like this is learning what you can outspeed and what you can't. A lot of Temtem as a whole is a knowledge game. So what I've calced this team to outspeed is Volfi with Plague can outspeed anything using the 2-arrow priority when it uses Plague, besides Amphitheater. So that's why I know I was able to outspeed Oshiara for sure. And anything else, like I know that 2-2 its only melee moves are 2 prio, so I can outspeed it with Plague. Things like that are kind of like the pinnacle of what you need to know about Temtem. And I know I've been playing for so long, I know most of them, and there's no way I can fit all of those like interactions and things into a video. A lot of them are just things you need to learn. But I just wanted to show you guys that this is a team that you can definitely run, and you can absolutely beat every single Dojo Rematch and Archtamers with this exact team. So once again, like, if you just want to copy the spreads, feel free to like pause the video at this point while I'm hovering over them. Otherwise, I think I did this at the start as well. You will want the TVs to be maxed at 50 if possible. You might be able to get away with, I don't know, you're going to lose some interactions if you just go with all greens or imperfect. But sometimes that's what you just have to do. I know that it can be very difficult to get perfectly bred Tems. And as for like Volgan's case, getting the feathers it takes to buy the hacks in order to perfect it. But I would say that it's just something you have to build towards. And I mean, there's other teams. I will be releasing a team probably like, might be tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to post the order of the videos exactly. But I will have a bulky variation as well. And I'll run through everything with that to kind of give an extra idea. For reference, the Volfi spread and the Hazrat spread are the exact same on both. I also have a Volerend, but it's a completely different spread for the Volerend. And the rest of the team is also different. So if you're looking to invest in just like 3 specific Temps to start out with, I would start with these 3. Or at least these 2. But yeah, that's all I have. I hope this was really helpful and educational for you guys. It did take quite a while, an hour and a half, so I would appreciate just like liking the video or some positive comments, just to know that this is actually helping you guys out, because I know this is something I get a lot of questions about. So I'm glad to make a guide for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. That's all I got today. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.